That happened earlier. A lot of bad weather, including weather in South Florida.
Apologize for the technical issues. What is this?
Well, the lights are out, as we can all see. And wait a minute. What the? Oh my God! God Almighty! What a kick right to Arn Anderson's face. There's Cody.
That is a man that I wrestled 15 years ago in Dusseldorf, Germany. That is Tommy End. But that man standing in the ring, that is not Tommy End. Oh my God!
With that street shoe on right in the face of Cody, Tommy End, or whatever he's going to be called.
That is Malakai Black.
Oh my God.
And he has just taken out Arn Anderson and Cody Rhodes.
The eyes of a trained killer, if you ask me.
You're listening to Talk AEW, the official wrestling podcast of Goopastop.com. I'm Mariko McDonald, your co-host, joined as always by Mr. Aaron Santos, and of course, the editor-in-chief of Goopastop.com and TiltMagazine.net, Ricky D.
Hey, Mariko. Hey, Aaron. Mariko, I have to apologize. I have to open up the podcast by saying sorry to TK, because for 4 weeks, I kept complaining and bitching and moaning and tweeting about how mad I was that Dynamite moved to Friday and then Saturday night. And then finally they moved back to Wednesday last week and again this week back on the normal schedule.
And it's the year the Habs made it to the finals of the playoffs.
Did not watch either Dynamite live because of the Stanley Cup. And I actually just finished watching Dynamite, so I'm not at all prepared for the show. So I hope you are ready to lead. Because, yeah, I'm like, you know what? Maybe it would have been good if they had done this just for 2 more weeks. Well, the bad news is because I'm so ill prepared, because I just legit finished watching Dynamite, I don't really have the usual Ricky's rapid fire questions that we normally do at the start of the show. Once again, 2 weeks in a row.
Well, I have a couple questions, actually. But my first question, how disappointed were you that the Elite, with the exception of Kenny, shaved off their novelty mustaches? They were glorious.
Yeah, but they've changed their look every week, so I kind of expected the change, to be honest.
Uh-oh, I think we lost Aaron.
Yep, sorry. I just got cut off for some reason.
And moving on.
We're having a little bit of technical difficulties of our own, like last night too.
Oh yes, that would be another good question. How good was that fake out with the blackout, huh?
The first one, I legit thought that like maybe there was a possible blackout. I'm like,
yeah, it was just short enough.
Yeah, exactly. It was just short enough, and I'm just like, wow. Well, like I started thinking, like, does AEW just have the worst luck of like live events? Because like,
well, that's not bad luck. That's actually a good thing. Like if the lights actually went out by mistake.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, let's say, we didn't get what we got later.
Storms.
That would have been fantastic. Mind you, like they were in Miami, and I know there was like a bunch of storms, like Mariko said, and it was like a hurricane watch or something in like Florida.
Tropical storm Elsa or something.
I was gonna save this for our main event, but I'm kind of sick and tired of people popping up when the lights go out, especially when it's a first time appearance. Like it's been done to death, and it works well with guys who have like sort of like a supernatural like persona, but still.
Has it really? Not in 8. Well, anyway,
what are you talking about? It's happened so many times in AEW. It even happened with the Pinnacle.
Oh, okay. You're talking. Yeah, okay.
It's happened a few times. It feels bad to criticize it here because they did so much to tie it in and to try to fake us out.
I mean, they've done it with
I
Sting like 5-6 times. I mean, sure, he has the added snow, but like, the lights still go off.
True.
Why don't they just drop them from the ceiling? Have them come out from under the ring or through the crowd, or
they've
just
done
a
all of
normal
that,
introduction.
but they've already
like
done all of that. Bunny and
coffin?
Butcher and Blade came up through the thing.
a wedding cake.
That's been done.
We
Well,
don't want
no.
any more wrestling weddings on AEW.
A pizza box. I don't know.
Wrapped as
That's
a
it.
package, dressed as a clown.
Anyhow, Mariko, to answer your question, no, I thought it was really good. Also, because I don't know if I mean, I doubt you guys watch the NBA playoffs.
The vignettes, the vignette that came out.
No,
yesterday?
I was just gonna say really quick that throughout the NBA playoffs, there was 2 times where the actual lights did go off in the middle of the game because of the storm.
Mm,
So it could have legit just been a storm, and people would have like never known.
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, like you could have done like maybe us. Man, I was gonna say like maybe do like Bray Wyatt and do like these weird 2 5-second like quick flashes on the screen, sort of like the tease stuff building up to him. You could have done that.
The thing is, I think it worked better as a surprise, and I guess we're gonna move right into the main event, which is a discussion of the 2 debuts that happened on AEW Road Rager last night. The first, and I think the one that we're already talking about, so we're just going to keep going, is of course Malakai Black appearing out of the darkness to kick the snot out of Arn and the snot out of Cody.
Yeah.
How do we feel about this? Setting up a possible feud between Malakai Black and Cody Rhodes. How do we feel about that? How do we see this playing out? Is this the right way to introduce him? And later, when we start talking about Andrade, we can kind of compare and contrast how the 2 wrestlers have been introduced and
Mhm.
how we feel about that. But
So I need to go first because you asked how do we feel about the way he was introduced. And the problem with me is because I was watching the NHL Stanley Cup Finals, I didn't watch Dynamite live. And of course, I didn't want to go on Twitter because I was like, if I go on Twitter, even though I have like 5 accounts that I juggle between like, all the accounts for the website and podcast, I didn't want to go on Twitter, but it did not matter because AEW actually spoiled it for me on Facebook because I'm a fan of them on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And I guess they decided that they're just going to put it right away on social media, not realizing not everybody watches Dynamite right away because sometimes people just can't.
But then they have something to look forward to.
I
That's
don't
true.
like that. Look, I
If
think
you want the surprise, you got to be there live.
No, sometimes you just can't help it. I think that there should be like a good I don't know, like 2 hours. Like I know obviously clearly fans are gonna like spoil things online, but like when it comes to the actual companies, like give it like at least a few hours.
I don't know. That's how you build FOMO though, and that's how you build a fan to want to invest like live at the moment is the whole FOMO, like fear of missing out.
I disagree. Like, so are we all gonna rush out and watch Black Widow tomorrow night on the very first show because we all have to because we're afraid we're gonna get spoiled? No, it
Well,
shouldn't work that way.
No, well,
Well, I just don't care about it.
yeah, I don't care about it either. I mean, like I feel it should
Wait,
be.
you don't care about Black Widow or being spoiled?
Black Widow.
Oh, that's so not fair. It's just an example. I mean, I'm not really
But
pissed
no,
off.
I mean, I know that I'm in a minority of like spoiler issues, and I get into fights constantly with what constitutes a spoiler, what doesn't.
Mhm.
So I have strong opinions, and you clearly do too.
I'm not really upset because I expected it. Like, I honest to God expected it. Like, as soon as you said something big happened, I was like, I knew right away, Tommy End. I would have been like really upset if it was like, for example, Sting, like way back in November, because like that, like I remember my reaction to Sting walking out. It was just like that was like one of the greatest moments ever for me watching Dynamite. So, but yeah, I do understand that it was my fault. I could have watched it live, but I chose to watch a Stanley Cup.
Well, and you could have just chosen to stay off social media.
Well, you know what, Aaron? TK could have just chosen to put the damn show on a Friday night.
I mean, we could go back and forth on like how we could have done things better, but going back to the argument of like spoiling stuff right away on the internet. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, like in a strategic sense, again, it's just building up that FOMO because you missed it. They're going to spoil it anyway and show you like, here, this is what you missed out on a live event. And if you don't want to be spoiled again, maybe you want to watch it live again, like this time. So to me, it's just FOMO.
As for the introduction, I still stand by what I said. I think it's overdone. The lights going out.
Yeah.
They've done, and also, man, every week there's like 100 people getting introduced. I can't keep up anymore. Between Elevation, Dark, and Dynamite, and soon to be Rampage, there's like 100 plus people. Like, let's start counting them. There's like over 100 now. Like over the past like
a lot
this
of
year
them
so
are still
far.
extras, Ricky.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yesterday we had the entire like UFC, but not the UFC. Like all those.
There was two. There were two fighters.
Yeah,
there were two
American
fighters,
Top
and
Team.
the dude that runs. What is the name of the?
American Top Team.
American Top Team.
Thank you. He shows up, introducing two more fighters who are probably going to get in the ring. Which, by the way, what's her face?
Amanda Nunez.
Mm-hmm.
She's like considered like the best in the world.
Yes.
So that's a good thing. But I'm just like, damn, there's a lot of wrestlers now.
I didn't get the impression they were going to be wrestlers.
I think they're going to compete with someone in AEW. They're going to do.
I don't
I
think
they
so.
were there so that AEW could get their spot on SportsCenter at midnight.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you don't think that they're going to actually have some kind of crossover?
I don't.
No, I don't think so.
Oh, I don't know, because what's her face? She said she's interested in wrestling.
Amanda Nunez?
Yeah, I just read an interview with her this afternoon.
I don't know. We'll see. But I mean, right now, my best is I
Until
can't.
I hear she's training with someone, I don't think it
Yeah.
really worth putting much.
I
stock
mean, she could say that she's interested in wrestling, but doesn't mean it's going to be like this year or anytime soon.
So, Aaron, what did you think? Like, tell us how you feel.
About the Malachi Black entrance?
Specifically about the introduction, how they introduced him and him pitting against Cody.
I really didn't mind his introduction. I thought it was a cool way to introduce. Well, I mean,
if they hadn't done the fake out at the start of the episode, it would have felt more tired. But I was like, okay, they put at least a little effort into this. I'm gonna let it slide.
Yeah, exactly. Because like the fake out in the beginning, I believe that it was a legit like blackout. Then when it happened again, I believed it was a legit blackout again because there was reports of like hurricane watches in the Florida area. So I did believe it. And then when Malachi Black showed up, I was surprised. I was mostly surprised with Malachi Black because knowing WWE and the wrestlers that get released in WWE, there's usually a 90-day no compete clause. So I was kind of surprised to see Malachi Black because obviously it hasn't been 90 days. So apparently he had a loophole in his contract, which did allow him to sign with AEW.
Yeah, basically was that they didn't change the no compete terms when he moved out from NXT.
Yeah, there was something.
Because both contracts were technically valid at the same time, he basically got to pick how long he wanted to wait, 30 or 90.
Yeah, exactly. And apparently it was a 30-day opt-out option. So,
yeah,
but you know what I found confusing is, or not confusing, but kind of funny, was JR and Excalibur going back and forth on.
Oh my goodness!
Oh, yeah.
JR kept doing it, and Excalibur kept having to.
Tommy Yen or Malachi Black?
Jim Ross kept calling him
Tommy Yen.
Yeah.
And then Excalibur would always correct him. He's like, no, that is. And he, at one point, it sounded like he got really pissed off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was like the second or third time he had to correct him and was like, trying to do it subtly. Like, oh no, you'll see there's a different version of him. It's Malachi Black. It's like, no, literally, you can't use that name. Use this name.
And this is after he called Excalibur Mark.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, really?
That also happened last night.
And then last week, of course, there was the WWE slip up.
Yeah, the WWE
So,
Dynamite.
I mean, at this point, I think JR is just trolling everyone. I really think he's just
he's
pissing
earned
everyone
it.
off.
Whatever.
You know what, man? He's such a legend in commentary. Like he could just do whatever the hell he wants.
I do like the fact that he still has his contact lens, so he has that dead eye.
Yeah.
That's pretty
So
cool.
I don't know if you guys saw, but actually earlier yesterday, he posted to his Instagram a little vignette where he
No,
sort of reintroduces this character. Oh, I should have sent it to you guys. I'm so sorry.
No,
that
because you know
was
what happened is because I have like multiple Twitter accounts, and the AEW Twitter account I only follow AEW wrestlers because then it just becomes overwhelming. And so I was on that account for most of the day, so I haven't added him to that follow list yet.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's just because a few other places were reposting. And I just came across it randomly on YouTube after the show, actually. And I was like, oh, and it kind of ties in the blackouts and the whole eye thing. And it's pretty clear this is the Dark Father character.
yes, it is.
And basically, he just is. Yeah, a lot of people are really surprised. I think it's so cool is he's continuing the continuity. Basically, WWE paid for a bunch of vignettes to introduce a character that's going to be wrestling in AEW, and I think it's
Exactly.
fantastic.
Listen, man, like, come on. If I was Tommy End or Malakai Black, I mean, like, we all know the process that he went through, or like the trials that he went through in WWE, wanting to wrestle. WWE never used them, and then they made this vignette introducing a Dark Father, and then he makes a little appearance in SmackDown again, and then gets cut the next week. I mean, like, if anything, like, this is awesome because he gets to stick it to WWE a bit, right?
We talked about this. I think it was on the last episode, if not the episode before. But we talked about how AEW kind of feels like two different shows, and not in a bad way. But there's like the Cody show, and then there's the Elite show. And on that episode, I said I was actually a bigger fan of the Cody show. And so I'm kind of like really glad that he's going to be in a feud with Cody. And Cody's still busy. I mean, maybe not because he just beat QT Marshall and Anthony Ogogo was not present this week, but I still think they're going to continue that storyline. So he could actually be involved in like 2 or 3 feuds at this point in time. And I don't know, like I could see them putting on a really amazing match. And some of my favorite matches ever on Dynamite or in AEW period revolve around Cody Rhodes.
Yeah, I think the easy joke, of course, is that Cody always needs to get over and he's Mr. America and whatever. But I mean, just the way that, just the visual of him in his like light tan suit and Malachi in his all black getup, and you know, it's classic good versus evil, like absolutely classic. And I'm curious to see how Cody deals with a sort of supernatural league character, which they seem to be hinting that that's what this is.
Oh my god, they could do a whole angle where he kidnaps the baby and tries to sacrifice it.
Lord, I
No,
hope they don't.
no. Do we really need to go back to the Attitude Era? This sounds like something like McMahon would do in the 90s.
This could be
We've
worse.
already got Uncle Chris and Uncle Matt having their like Thanksgiving brawl next week or whatever.
This could be worse because once again, going back to Dan Lambert, I thought that whole whatever you want to call it was just really bad. Like you have this guy walk out, he starts cutting a promo, which was not
Are
very
you
good.
kidding me? It was a rib on Jim Cornette. I loved it. Old man talking about like how old school wrestling was so much better, and then all these new wrestlers with their flippity dippity stuff and doesn't get it, blah blah. It's such a rib on Jim Cornette.
The best part about it was when Lance Archer came out and beat the crap out of him.
Well, obviously.
Well, yeah. That was the best part, but that was the whole point of the promo, was just like Lance Archer just telling this dude to shut up.
Just like all of the wrestling fans, because we need to do something with Lance Archer so we still identify with him.
So I don't really know what else to say because his introduction was so short, so brief. I think everyone kind of expected him to go to AEW because of his bad relationship with WWE. You know, there was nothing bad or amazing about it. It was good, and good is good enough, you know? It was the first show back on the road in Miami. The crowd was hyped. I thought the energy was there. Not the best episode of Dynamite, but I think the crowd really just helped. And I looked at the
Mhm.
ratings last week. I'm not sure about this week, but the ratings jumped back to over 850,000, I believe,
Mhm.
when they went back to Wednesdays. So the audience that they lost on the Friday nights and the Saturday nights, they clearly returned back to Wednesday. So I'm guessing most of those people who didn't watch Dynamite during the month of June were watching either like a PVR recorded version
Mhm.
or online.
Yeah, it's totally possible. So, how did we cover how we thought about like him feuding with Cody is going to be like?
I was hoping you guys would dig into that a little bit more.
Okay,
'Cause
we could do.
I know yeah, like I was saying, like the easy joke is Cody has to go over, but I mean, obviously you're introducing a new character. That'd be stupid.
Mm-hmm.
I thought I've already pitched my storyline. He goes after the baby in 20 years' time. She comes back as a wrestler. It's like Kill Bill. She takes her revenge.
Honestly, I'm not against it. But the other thing is we need to remember that Cody, will do the job when it makes sense. And also remember that he's probably going to need some time off soonish. I'm guessing probably fall-ish to do promo for his reality show.
Mm-hmm.
So it might be a good time for him to get laid out and take a little break.
Yeah, I mean, I could picture like Aleister Black like using some. Did I just call him Aleister Black? Malachi Black. I could picture him like he seems like a character that would probably use like these like sort of like supernatural tricks. And correct me if I'm wrong, but there's not really too many wrestlers that uses supernatural
I
like.
think the closest is Abaddon
In AEW?
in AEW, yeah.
Mm, yeah, but she's a zombie girl though. She hasn't like
Yeah, no, she
yeah.
doesn't really have magic powers. Like we don't have
Mm-mm.
anyone like Undertaker or anything like
Well,
that.
exactly, and that's what I think. Like I like about Malachi Black is that he could totally bring like these Undertaker vibes. Because if I'm not mistaken, like also he always wanted to have a match with Undertaker in WWE, and Vince McMahon just kept refusing it. So
Mm.
I know he's a big fan of the Undertaker. So having a wrestler like that bringing like a supernatural element to AEW would be pretty cool.
I already know I want to see a matchup with Pac. Either he faces Pac or he teams up with Pac.
Mm.
Oh, my body is
You want to
ready.
talk about an unstoppable tag team?
Unstoppable tag team.
Yeah,
Oh,
put
hip
Alice and Andre
Pac
Chayne
and
or put them in a tag team instead of putting them against each other.
Pac.
Oh my lord.
Pac and Black.
Mm.
And they
Oh,
can use the
yes.
AC/DC song Back in Black. Totally
Yeah, yeah.
spend big bucks on that song.
Mm-hmm. I could totally see that.
I'm
That'd be
not
awesome.
against any of it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, on that note, I think we're going to take a quick break. And when we get back, we are going to compare the introduction of Malachi Black with someone else's debut last night, Mr. Andrade El Idolo.
I'll say this, Max. If I can't outlast your labors of Jericho, and if I can't beat you, maybe I don't deserve to be in AEW anymore anyways. But I'll tell you this, if you want to talk about Greek mythology, I'm your guy. I'm going to accept your labors because I am the god of battle. I am the god of thunder. I am the god of war in AEW, and I am going to beat you. You're damn right I am. And I'm going to beat you, and I'm going to ruin your life the way you tried to ruin mine. And that ain't no mythology.
And we are back. So we already spent some time talking about Malachi Black, but there was another debut that happened on Road Rager in Miami, and that was the wrestling debut of one Mr. Andrade El Idolo against Mr. Matt Sydal. How do we feel about this match? Was anyone else disappointed?
No, I thought I loved it. I
Okay.
thought I didn't want it to be too good, too great because this is his first time in the ring. I didn't want it to be too soft and too crap. I
Mm-hmm.
thought, look, I love the callbacks to Eddie Guerrero. I love the
Yeah.
fact that he was teasing the frog stars, the 5-star frog splash. I
Mm-hmm.
love the fact that he did the Three Amigos. I loved his entrance, the costume he was wearing.
The wrestling in slacks was a little bit like confounding, but I did really enjoy the tearaway suit jacket.
I really liked it, and I just liked the introduction. I liked the way the announcers introduced him and gave a bit of backstory as to who he is and what he can do. And
Mhm.
I like the fact that he not only had Vicky by his side, but he had his trainer / assistant. He's a force to reckon with, and I think putting him against Matt Sydal was a good move because Matt Sydal is a great wrestler. He's got technique. He's great. He's a high flyer. He can grapple, but he's small, so it makes sense for him to lose to Andrade, and it doesn't really make him look bad because he still had a pretty decent match.
No. I mean, he did a great job of making Matt Sydal look good too. I mean, but that was the
I
thing
don't
that
know. I feel like Matt was doing most of the work.
well, exactly
Not to
that.
take too much away from Andrade. Like I do think he was good. But it did feel at times that Matt Sydal was better.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's what surprised me a little with the match. Like, it was a great match. Don't get me wrong,
Mhm.
but I was surprised at how much control Matt Sydal was in this match, considering that like we're probably building up Andrade El Idolo to be like this force to be reckoned with in AEW, right? So I was a little surprised at that.
I think it's out of respect to Matt Sydal because he's worked really hard and has been with the company for a long time. This guy's brand new, and the thing is, he still did that great. What was it, a somersault where he lands on his feet and does it again where he actually lands on Matt Sydal. He did some pretty good moves.
Yeah, I mean, like that's the amazing thing about Andrade El Idolo. I mean, he is
Oh,
a
the moonsault.
yeah, he
The
did a
double
moon.
moonsault.
Yeah, I did
The
like a double
moonsault.
moonsault. I mean, like I think that was the thing that fans love about Andrade Idol was his athletic prowess, and also considering how much he's bulked up too. Like,
Wait a minute. Let's pronounce his name properly. So it's Andrade El
mhm,
Idolo.
mhm.
Idolo, the idol.
Andrade El Idolo.
Yes, Andrade El Idolo.
Okay, go
Actually,
ahead.
I should probably start calling him Black Mask. Did anyone get any like vibes when he came out with the Black Mask
Oh yeah.
of like the DC character?
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, I was like, I saw him come out with the Black Mask. I'm like, oh, that's a neat call to like any comic fans out there. But
He's clearly trying to land a role with Marvel Comics. I mean, why not? Marvel, hire this guy.
wait, Black Mask is DC
I know, but he wants to work with Marvel.
by dressing up as a DC character.
Oh, whatever. It's a superhero.
It's a super villain, Rick.
It's not like we're watching WWE.
I'm gonna rib you also like slick. Anyway, go ahead. Yeah, I'm just yanking your chain.
Anyhow, the point is, you called him Andre before, so I just wanted to
No,
make sure it's pronounced Andrade.
Oh, did I?
No, Aaron did. Aaron,
No,
Aaron, you
I
called him Andre twice.
Andrade. Maybe the D didn't come out right.
Respect the what is his tagline?
Oh shoot, I
Not
can't
his
remember.
tagline, but his he's the face of
Oh, the face of the
Latinos.
Latinos.
the face of the Latinos.
Hmm.
Andrade El Idolo. I could just do the whole podcast. I could just keep on repeating his name over.
It
and
just
over.
rolls off your
It's
tongue.
fun to say.
It's so fun to say. But JR refuses to learn it. He's just like, whatever his
I
name
know.
is. We talked about this way back about how they should let some of the wrestlers just talk in different languages, and because there's people clearly around the world that watch wrestling, and even in North America there's people who speak Spanish and Japanese and so on and so forth, and it adds to the character, and it just, I don't know, it shakes things up. It's fresh, it's new, and so I like it when he's on the mic.
Did anyone else have the thought of how much better it would be if he had Alex Abrahantes instead of Vicky Guerrero?
Oh my god, I love Alex. Like, I think I have
Mhm.
like a crush on that guy. He's just so charismatic and so annoying. He's like the perfect heel manager.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like, he's the kind of
great.
guy I would want in my corner. Like, he's just so good.
Mhm.
He just seems like so much fun, and like he's having so much fun.
Mhm.
Like for real. Like we always talk about like people, and we always talk about who's good looking, who dresses well, and et cetera, et cetera. But like when it comes to personalities, and actually we did this talk spot once, Mariko, didn't we? Where we talked about who we would go on a date with, like if
Yes,
we could.
yeah, we
I
did
think it
that
was a
for
Valentine's Day special, yeah. And if we do the Valentine's Day special again, next year, I'm probably gonna pick him because he just seems like so much fun to hang out with. I think they have the best looking roster. Like WWE has some good looking people too, and like when it comes to the dudes, at least,
Mm.
because I feel
I
like
Well,
WWE
they're
has
very
way
much
more
about the
women.
bodies in a very specific shape. But I like variety, you know?
hmm I mean, there's a lot of variety in AEW, but it's also in AEW. I'm like a lot of them, a lot of the big star wrestlers have a lot of charisma and swag too. So, or they have their own way of having charisma and swag, which is kind of cool.
Bangkok, baby!
When are we gonna get the tag team of Jungle Boy and Matt Riddle?
Oh man,
Oh, dude.
until
Bro,
they I don't
you
know
know
what
what?
the
Oh, just call it the OC and like just call it a day. Yes.
Okay, this is sort of drifting away from the actual topic, but it sort of ties in because it's about Andrade, who just came to AEW. We talked about Mr. Black, but who do you think would possibly be the first person go from AEW to WWE? And you know why I asked this question? Because it's no secret that everybody compares AEW right now to the glory days of WCW Nitro days, right? Because back then you had all the guys going from WWE or WWF to WCW. But at one point, the WCW guys started going to the WWE. Chris Jericho, Eddie Guerrero, Rey Mysterio, Dean Malenko, Saturn. You know what I mean? And so it was like when that happened, everything changed. So I'm wondering who could be the first person to leave.
let's
That's
say
interesting too because, you know, like I get the comparison between WCW and AEW, but on the other hand, in this current time, the idea of workplace satisfaction is so different than it was in the 90s, where it was just about, okay, where can I get the fattest check? Where
yeah.
a lot of the people who came to AEW were like, yeah, maybe I could get a fatter check somewhere else, but I'm having way more fun. I get to
hmm
be more creative. I get to, keep my t-shirt money, like all these other things that you can't do other places.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
And so
totally agree.
I'd be interested, like, what specifically WWE would do to lure people to them.
I mean, it would be the pay
It
that
wouldn't just be the pay. It could just be the fact that there's just too many wrestlers at one point in AEW, and this whoever it is just maybe wants a title shot or feels that he or she won't ever
I
move up.
don't I don't think so
I
because
don't
like
think we're there yet.
yeah, we're not yeah, I don't know about like I don't want to think eventually, but at the moment it's like I think everyone has, their time on camera. Everyone seems to be
I
utilized.
don't think it's impossible. I think it's going to happen. I don't think it's a bad thing. Like, look, if a guy
No, I
like
don't think
Orange
so.
Cassidy grew up watching WWE and
Mhm.
he's a big fan of that company and WrestleMania, and his dream, for all we know, could be main eventing WrestleMania. So
Mhm.
even if AEW treats him great, I mean, it's like I know tons of people have great jobs and they still go looking for a better job with a better paycheck or the job that's like their dream job.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
it could happen.
Well,
I
if they're
just,
like
yeah.
well, just to answer that question from my end though, like who I think could, jump ship to WWE given the opportunity, I wouldn't be surprised if Sammy Guevara does it.
So he was my second pick, and I'll get to him in a second. My first pick was Lance Archer. And the reason why I picked Lance Archer is because, first of all, he's big, and McMahon loves big men. He's great in the ring. He's got a great personality.
He would have had a chance to get him if he really wanted him.
Mhm.
I think he could still get him if he wanted him. And the point is that I think that he could actually leave because right now in AEW they haven't done anything with Lance Archer. He's been like defeated left and right since he first arrived. So he was like my first pick, and my second pick was Sammy, and
Mhm.
not because I think Sammy would want to backstab Tony Khan or Chris Jericho, but like he's with Chris Jericho, and Chris Jericho still has plenty of nice things to say about Vince McMahon and WWE.
Mhm.
Even though he says like, yeah, it's kind of a mess because of the writer's room and so on and so forth. But I don't think anyone would hold it against Sammy and he did try out for the WWE, by the way, but I don't think anyone will hold it against him if he wanted to chase that dream. But I don't know if he's interested anymore.
Well, we don't know that, but
I mean, he's not huge. Maybe he could do good things on NXT, but
yeah,
I don't think he'll be on the main roster without another like 30, 40 pounds.
His connection to Chris Jericho can get him to NXT or, the main roster, because Chris Jericho could sort of like pave the way for him if he wanted to. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying, like, if I had to choose two wrestlers, those are my two picks. And the one person who I think would never, ever jump ship, not because I think she holds anything against WWE, but because she actually has a full-time job, has a dentist, Britt Baker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I just like sabotaged the main event.
So going back to the main event.
Well, no, I think we basically said what we wanted to say. It was a good debut. Maybe it could have been better. Maybe it was too good for other people and not good enough for Andrade. But
well, I mean, there was a few like reviewers and podcasts that criticized a bit of like Andrade's debut, like because it was the argument that we had earlier that Matt Sydal looked too good in front of Andrade, and I think it's just Andrade just being like a really cool guy and letting someone else work, right? So, but then again, I might be reading into it too much.
So they chose Sydal, or he chose Matt Sydal, because Matt Sydal interrupted his announcement a few weeks back.
Yep.
Which was an interruption.
Yeah, because he interrupted Mark Henry.
No, that was the week before. They interrupted Mark Henry one week, and then they came out during Matt Sydal and someone else's entrance, and then interrupted it, and then Matt Sydal, who was wrestling in that same match, came out and interrupted them.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a history between those two men at a different like independent promotion?
Not that I'm aware of.
Because like with Cage and Darby Allin, like they go back years, right? I mean, I think Darby Allin's pretty much started wrestling, like the year he started wrestling, that's when he started fighting Ethan Page. Sorry. So there's too many Pages and Cages in this wrestling promotion.
It depends though. Did Matt Sydal was Andrade in WWE when Matt Sydal was still there too?
Oh,
I know,
and they could have been at New Japan at the same time.
That's true. So I mean, there could be history. I don't know, but it wouldn't surprise me, to be honest. So yeah.
Listen, my only big issue with his introduction into the company, forget about the first match, is I just don't understand why they chose Vicky. Like you said, Alex would have been way better.
Yeah, well, I feel it just might have to be with like his love for Eddie Guerrero.
Yeah, they had done some kind of promo package where they talked about his respect for Eddie Guerrero, and also the fact that they both come from these sort of wrestling dynasties.
Mm-hmm.
And so Andrade feels close to Vicky because of that, and just that pressure and the family and all that.
Mm-hmm. I mean, like he's like we mentioned, like when he was wrestling in his debut, like he did like so many callbacks to Eddie Guerrero, and it was really fun to watch,
I can't believe this guy started wrestling at age 14.
Yeah, and he was so skinny.
Like as his first official match, he was 14.
Mm-hmm.
2 years older than Riho. Or no, Riho was 9? Riho was 9.
She was 9 when she started? I did not know that.
Yeah.
Holy crap. Man.
Yeah, because she's been doing it 12 years. She's 21.
Yeah, so also just really quick, I'm looking at his biography here on the internet, and the mask he wore on Dynamite is the match he would usually wear back when he wrestled in Mexico. But I don't know what his name was back then with that mask.
Oh, Yeah,
Was that
La
when he was working as
Sombra.
La
La
Sombra?
Sombra. Yes.
The Shadow. I love it.
Yes.
He used that
Yes.
mask in the Mexican wrestling.
I mean, La Sombra was his alias, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he used to wear a black mask with like it kind of looked like a black. I don't remember like if it's exactly the same, but
Hmm.
a black mask with those silver markings on them.
Yeah, I remember his. I remember like one of his black masks in NJPW when he did like Los Ingobernables.
We should go and maybe watch some of his older matches. Like he did of a wrestling match, 14 men in a steel cage, lucha libre style.
Mm,
That sounds pretty amazing.
that was for was it MLL or which one?
CMLL 75th anniversary show.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. And you know, like the one thing that I do like about AEW, and I don't think anyone would disagree with this, is the way they really do respect the history of professional wrestling, the backstories of all these wrestlers. Like if they
Mm-hmm.
can mention what they've done before in the past, especially like Excalibur would do this, right?
Yeah.
They will, give a shout out to so and so trainer or so and so wrestling promotion, or this dude won this championship back in like say Japan, right? Like I
Mm-hmm.
mean, Excalibur even said it. I believe he said it in this episode, right? He's like, I actually had a match with. I don't think he used the name Tommy End. I don't know. I was so confused about which names they were using. He's like, yeah, I wrestled that guy in Germany back in blah 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 for whatever blah 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 championship. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and I'd like to know that stuff. Like, I'm like, that's pretty cool that Excalibur actually wrestled Tommy End in Germany for some kind of championship match. I want to go see that match now. Like, I love it when they do stuff like that. You'll never get that at WWE.
No,
Like WWE is like its own
Because
like
nothing
universe.
exists outside. They're the only wrestling.
Yeah, exactly.
Why would there be any other wrestling?
Mm-hmm.
He is going to face Kenny Omega, right? For which championship?
That
The Mega
AAA.
Champion.
I love this. Like I like the fact that they are doing all these cross promotions. They have all of these like wrestlers coming into AEW, but they still seem to have a lot of storylines and belts that they can wrestle for. I mean, look, I don't care about the FTW championship belt, whatever it's called,
Yeah.
but apart from maybe that championship, it's still cool to see like Kenny Omega walk out as the belt collector and have a shout out to Impact Wrestling
Mm-hmm.
and New Japan. And I don't think they've done a crossover yet with Ring of Honor though.
No, not yet.
No.
They had what's his face when he popped up one time and attacked John Moxley.
Kenta?
No. What was his name again? Jeff Cobb?
Oh, yeah.
He was on his way to Ring of Honor. He had just left Ring of Honor. I can't remember.
Oh, that I can't remember.
Yeah. That was the closest crossover we ever got with Ring of Honor.
Yeah, but I wouldn't. It wouldn't surprise me if AEW does work with Ring of Honor someday, because a lot of these guys, when they were with NJPW, like especially like Kenny Omega and them, NJPW has done a lot of crossovers with Ring of Honor. I mean, it was through Ring of Honor anyway that Adam Britt Baker's boyfriend.
Yeah, Adam Cole.
Adam Cole. Yeah, I think he got introduced like the Bullet Club from Ring of Honor.
And Marty Scurll, but we don't talk about him anymore.
No. And I'm looking at the upcoming events for AEW, and it's kind of like mind blowing because we just had Road Rage. By the way, not Road Rage. What was it called? Road Rage.
Rager.
Rager. It was just called Rager.
Road Rager. It was called
Road Rager. Stupidest name ever, but I did like at least the look, like the whole neon 80s like vibe to it. I don't understand why they have these special names for specific episodes, but they don't really do much with the setting.
Well, I mean, this one was just the fact that it's Miami Vice, 80s neon, blah blah. But yeah, I mean, Fyter Fest. At least we get like a tent and some surfboards. Which is next week, actually.
Yeah. So we got Fyter Fest Part 1, Fyter Fest Part 2. And yeah, they do at least bring in some sand, some palm trees, some beach balls, some bamboo sticks, whatever. Okay, so according to allelitewrestling.com, you can't get more official than that website, Fyter Fest Night 1, Fyter Fest Night 2, Fight for the Fallen. following week, and then it's Homecoming, and then there's the episode in Pittsburgh.
Oh, right. Yeah. Okay. All Out is until September, so there's all of August.
Is
Yes.
the one in Pittsburgh? It's a Dynamite event.
It's okay. So the one in Pittsburgh is now okay. So I'm just gonna do this really quick again. Fighter Fest Night 1, Fighter Fest Night 2, Fight for the Fallen. That wraps up July. In August we have Homecoming, and then they go to Pittsburgh, which is where Britt Baker's from. So we know something big is gonna happen. Then they introduce Rampage in Pittsburgh. So it's Dynamite and Rampage back to back, and then they have the big, huge episode in Houston, Texas, which is where Sammy's from, and Ricky Starks. And then we go to Milwaukee,
I
Chicago.
thought Starks was from Louisiana.
No, I think he's from Dallas or from Texas.
He's billed out of Louisiana.
Should Google it.
He talks about New Orleans. Okay, he lives in Austin. He was born in Louisiana.
Oh, okay.
So then we get the 2 episodes in Chicago, back to back, and it's because there's Dynamite and Rampage, right? And then we get All Out. So you know what that means, Aaron?
CM Punk.
Come on, you're telling me we're gonna have Dynamite in Chicago, Rampage in Chicago, All Out in Chicago, and no CM Punk?
Yes, because it happened last year and it happened the year before that. Or not
well,
last
we got
year, but it
Colt
happened the
Cabana
year
when they
before
went to
that.
Chicago.
Yes, they've been to Chicago before.
Yeah,
Somebody else debuted.
Yeah, All Out was in Chicago last year.
Yeah, no, I'm saying that when they went to Chicago, we got the introduction of Colt Cabana. That was like the big, huge surprise once. One of the times they went to Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Because he's from Chicago, and everyone thought it was going to be CM Punk. So when he came out, everyone was upset. You're like, that's not CM Punk.
I mean, again, we're just doing this like troll, but I mean, who knows? CM Punk might not even show up. What I expect out of like All Out in Chicago is that we're finally gonna get a title change. So
maybe a couple.
Who knows? Like maybe the Young Bucks might not be like tag team champions by then.
I think when we get to All Out, I think in All Out we'll get a few title changes. I think we'll get plenty of title changes, except for Britt Baker.
Yeah.
I don't know. This is kind of exciting. I'm excited. And I'm telling you, like we talked about this last week, the last thing I have to say today on today's show is I think now that they are back on the road, they have the crowd, I think they have been holding on to a lot of storylines, a lot of quote unquote dream matches, a lot of things that they wanted to do that they were just like waiting on. And I think we can expect some big, huge things in the next like few weeks, few months. I think this is gonna be a whole new company by the end of the year.
Yeah, I feel like having the crowd back. It's great to have this Hangman storyline with the crowd back, chanting his name like cowboy shit. So
we want Hangman.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, actually, to try to finish off, I was going to ask you guys what was your favorite crowd reaction from the show?
You got fired. You got fired.
I'm also a big fan because I have the mind of a twisted 16-year-old. Bang his mom. Bang his mom.
Oh my god! Yeah. Well, I think we all do when we watch like wrestling. We just sort of like, act like we were a teen. I mean, like the whole like in the beginning of the podcast when I shouted like Bangkok baby, like my wife was looking at me when I was like just on the couch dying of laughter. I'm like, I can't believe that, and my wife just looking at me is like just shaking her head. I'm like, come on, that's funny. You're not gonna tell me that's not funny.
The thing is, I don't know if you guys know, but Christian Cage actually used that exact same routine on Impact.
No, did he?
Yeah,
I did not know that.
I couldn't tell you who he was wrestling, but someone bubbled up the clip, and I watched it, and it's like, but it was great because he gives him a shot with his fist, because he says Bangkok, and then just like boom.
Oh man.
All right. On that note, I think it's time to wrap things up. I'd like to thank our co-host, Mr. Aaron Santos.
No problem.
And, of course, Mr. Ricky D.
No problem. Thank you so much once again, guys. So excited for next week. Next week, I'm watching it live.
And we'll have rapid fire questions.
Yeah, we'll be back to our normal programming. Yeah, so next week we'll be watching live. Super excited. Nothing big is going to happen, though, but whatever.
All right, until next week.
I'll tell you people what you want. We got a desperate situation and
Well, is business picking up?
Well. Alex, my good sir, would you hold this jacket? It is incredibly hot here in Miami tonight. Now, I've spent the last few minutes listening to you and your weird uncle talk. And I have a few questions for you, Mr. Kenny Omega. If you would take a step back, sir, the men would like to talk. Now, what I want to know is why you are ignoring this crowd. Why you are ignoring the #1 ranked wrestler in All Elite Wrestling. And most importantly, why are you so afraid of my friend, Kenny?
You've got a lot of questions, don't you? You've got a lot of questions for a non-sport playing numbnuts.